They returned to the kitchen with a bucket of silky butter, which they used to bake a guava flan pie paired with spearmint ice cream and topped with chorizo brisket. "Holy hacksaw, we got ourselves a hit," Esmeralda declared 3 bites in. "What do you say we go to Vegas, put our names in lights?" "Not so fast," Bruce said, jotting down a list of unwelcome supplementary flavors he noticed after chasing his sampling with cheap red wine. "Doesn't work with young Merlots. Who eats guava flan pie with wine? The French?" "Obviously," she said, and plunged into a round of merry guffaws until she saw he really meant it. Additionally, if you let the pie settle in an environment warmer than 79 degrees, the guava tastes off, almost rotten. The chorizo's smokiness feels congested and slightly unnatural, like car camping as opposed to a backcountry hike. For people drinking gin cocktails, the pie will sometimes have a bitter aftertaste. "Yeah, well, they'll live and learn." She licked her fork clean, felt the warmth in her chest settle and spread. "Come on, Brucey boy, this pie's the bomb. It slices, it dices, it'll do your laundry and mow the lawn. Hell, you could sell it for brunch since it's got fruit and sausage. Perfect for him and her. Let's put it out and get rich." Bruce completed his notes and took another swig of Merlot, his eyes misting and contorting. Sweat beaded to his forehead like lunar modules. He moved his head plaintively. A slow bobblehead roll. "It's not perfect," he informed her. "It's pretty darn close," she responded. "What are you, chicken?" Bruce splashed down another hit of wine and explained in a low voice that as a young pastry chef known as Herman Sprutz, he had worked at Vita Vita, an ultra-hip experimental restaurant in an unmarked warehouse lost in the thick of the dog patch, where he put together several of the most decadent dessert offerings ever known to mankind, one of which had been dressed with a synthetic compound not far off from heroin that had indirectly resulted in the deaths of multiple dinner guests, primarily Japanese tourists, but a few Americans, and toward the end, one local, a reliable and simple-minded mail carrier celebrating his 60th birthday with a rare night out. Court proceedings had absolved Herman of all liability, but the mail carrier's family and dinner companions had raised a stink in the local media, with all the families on his daily route piling on, so that the name Herman Sprutz, while beloved by serious gourmands across the globe, had been effectively turned to mush in Northern California and most of the world as well. No eatery would let him in the door. Investors shunned his new restaurant pitches. He couldn't even get a job sacking groceries. So he began the name-changing and plastic surgery route, emphasizing squares and hard corners, projecting strength through his face. After a lengthy recovery on a remote Thai island, he launched his comeback running a low-budget churro stand at the Mission, called Zoog's Chocolate Fugue, a clever bit of assonance backed up by a sensational chocolate dipping sauce that attracted a huge number of intoxicated San Franciscans after bars closed, and generated more than enough buzz to open the mind-shattering North Beach cake shop he'd always dreamed of. From whence came the fame, the money, the freedom to seek perfection in his own personal underground lair. "I often invoke the metaphor of music," he concluded. A conductor strives to intertwine the talents of excellent individual musicians with impeccable orchestral experiences, a universe of sound. With all the variables cross-tabulated and accounted for, can we create masterful experiences every time? Can perfection be sustained? Will the concerto linger in the blood for the rest of the listener's life? "Probably not," Esmeralda drawled, helping herself to another plate of pie. "People got too much to remember." "No. Superior experiences are always so. Think back to your most electrifying life events." Esmeralda dug back in the mud, came up with high school graduation and gossip magazines, a lot of time on the couch, hours of television and dozing and solitaire and snacks. "These are immortal sources of joy. The brasserie in Paris, the cafe in Rome, the funnel cake at the county fair, the stuff of memories and deathbed reminiscing. These are the moments that make life worth living. This is the food I must make." Esmeralda gave the thought a couple of nods, then polished off her slice and picked her teeth clean with a fingernail. "Spend your life chasing perfect, and you'll probably never get it. So I say you get pretty close and drink up. Like this pie." She knifed off a little sliver. Last piece, that was it, to prove her point only. Damn good so long as you don't drown it in shit French wine. Bruce untucked his napkin, rose, and poured the remainder of his wine over the pie plate. "Good night," he said leadenly, and left, leaving Esmeralda to fully explore the chemical interactions between Merlot, guava, flan, and chorizo. She forced down the rest of the prototype in the noble name of research. The next day they worked on a barley wine pudding that literally simmered on the tongue, evaporating into a spray that coated teeth and needed a slice or two of olive cherry bread to level out. Ideal for rustic retreats and destination restaurants and even gourmet camping trips. Bruce found it overpowering when consumed with a half bottle of Fino sherry, but Esmeralda managed to push down all of her portion, as well as Bruce's leftovers, then finished the other half of the cinnamon bottle for the sake of completeness. Next night was a cottage cheese stuffed pork roast slathered with hickory and lime. A couple flecks too dry for Bruce, impeccable according to Esmeralda. All they needed was a 6-pack of Hefeweizen to flush out the juices. On it went, a vat of crawfish jambalaya, squid truffle paste, cherry apple pork chop marmalade, gooseneck onion goulash brewed with platinum flakes, emu casserole slow-cooked with periwinkle nutmeg and served with gingerbread pretzels, candy cane venison stew, armadillo caper soup. Each dish loaded with otherworldly flavor sensations, titillating textures and exquisite composition, an overarching sense of painting on a bigger canvas, the sweep of history, and that was before they got to the desserts. Cookies, brownies, puff pastries, pies, ice cream, sherbets, puddings, all exquisite and headline-worthy, but the cakes dwarfed everything else. Towering leviathans, slice after slice, liquefying in Esmeralda's mouth, alighting the dim portions of her brain and helping her see across confidence, into the future, through the webbing of souls. Though Esmeralda was firmly agnostic, and knew the cakes were born of trial and error, centuries of scientific research, and a generous dose of luck, she couldn't eat the slice of Bruce's cake without feeling the warm breath of God upon her.